Hello. I wanted to make a video on studying using Anki sentence flashcards to study Japanese. And when I studied Japanese now, I don't know, gosh, about 9 years now. I lived in Japan for 2 years. I do have a lot of experience studying the language. I have passed the JLPT N2. I I may pass the N1 someday. I don't know. It's very difficult. We'll see. But I do have a lot of experience, and I wanted to just make a video on this because I think it might be a little helpful to other people, especially if you're at the kind of upper beginner, lower intermediate stage. Yeah. So when first started studying Japanese, um, I wanted to learn to read because I learned German to like a very got a high intermediate level just by reading books, just tons of reading, and it was super difficult at first, but it got easier after every book got easier, and it was I was blown away at how effective it was compared to the using like going to a German class, doing textbooks. Speaking to German people is okay, but unless you're living like in a household with someone to talk to you and very patient all the time, you're only going to get so much. They'll only teach you because that's their time. You're not going to get like a huge exposure for most people. So reading is a great solution. I was blown away. So yeah. Anyway, Japanese has this terrible writing system where there's no spaces between the words, and it has kanji, which is not an alphabet. It's obviously it's a picture of it with a meaning instead of sounds. And in my experience, um, I studied kanji very aggressively, and I think that's great. It helps you to better understand the language. It makes you literate. It's wonderful. But even after you learn tons of kanji and you go to read books, in order to improve your overall Japanese ability, at least in my experience, I found that these kanji were still are just a big barrier, and it's because I would find that although I was increasing my vocabulary, I was reliant on seeing the kanji um, when I heard and in addition to hearing the word, or even just seeing the kanji, hearing the word was just kind of incidental. I would obviously when I would test myself, I would try to see a kanji and learn the reading of it. But in terms of like my reading, I was always seeing kanji. Without the kanji, depending on how common the word was, I may not know it in real life if I heard it. It was very often. Even simple like kanban, like sign, is it's a if I didn't see kanji, I was just kind of like, what is that? It wouldn't click. And then if I struggled a lot, sometimes I would get this word into my vocabulary temporarily for like a month or so. But then if I didn't hear it again for another couple months, it would go away. Japanese is so difficult. Anyway, but I think a great way to get around that is using Anki and using sentence cards and having hiragana, the sounds, the Japanese alphabet system on side one, and no kanji in this sentence deck. You can definitely study kanji separately. Obviously, kanji are very, very important. You need to study kanji, but I think that this is a wonderful way to study sentences. And another reason why I think this is a better studying sentences with kanji, it's very easy for everything to get a little bit too complex. You want it, they have this thing with studying Japanese, like I+1, where you want to have a sentence that that has like I being everything you know plus one thing you don't know. But when you have kanji introduced in addition to the vocabulary, as a learner, you get overloaded. This I+1 is very difficult to maintain. However, if you take the kanji out, then the I+1 is a lot easier to achieve, or it's just easier if you don't have to deal with kanji on side one. But there's no spaces between the words. You can add spaces. I'm not doing it because I added sound.
就職できなかったらフリーターになるまでのことだ。
And I can actually just listen to it in addition to seeing it, and I can hear the spaces between the words pretty well, because and I know the grammar very well. I've been studying this language for a long time, but I think if I were a beginner, I probably would want to go in and add spaces. It would take a bit of a time, it'd be a little time consuming and annoying, but I would recommend doing that if you're a beginner, or if you have a sentence card that is bothering you. Go in and add some spaces. But if you study like this, it just makes it easier on your brain, and you can focus on the sounds and understanding the Japanese just through the sounds of the language. And I think it's very important, not just to have the sound like this audio in the background, but to see it, because we're adult learners. We don't have this, our brains and our hearing they're not like kids. We don't have this really good hearing ability that, unless maybe you're a musician, maybe you might actually, even then though, but most people, it just being able to see it is so important and so helpful. Yeah, so
就職できなかったらフリーターになるまでのことだ。
this is side 2. So side 1 has I have it set up for kana, and side 2, I have, everything. Kanji, furigana, English, and then if I understand it, every word more, then I'll mark it off as correct. And what I did was I downloaded this deck from the one of the Anki share decks, and I'm not going to go into this too much, but you can see this deck is set up to have Japanese with furigana attached, and
就職できなかったらフリーターになるまでのことだ。
a very nice feature is that it has kind of like you might need the add-on, but there's like a Japanese there's some features to facilitate using Japanese for making flashcards, and let's see, card template. And this is my front. You can see it says, and here it says kana reading. Kana refers to using hiragana only, hiragana katakana, and then colon, and then reading is the field name. That's my sentence field. So kana reading, that tells it it's going to display. It has, if you saw the other side part, it had the kanji on the left and then furigana on the right. This is telling Anki to show just the reading only, and then of course the BR, break, and then audio. And then here's the side 2, and you can see furigana colon reading. So furigana means to have kanji plus furigana on top. Yeah. Anyway, so if you haven't tried this, and you probably haven't, because I haven't heard of anyone else recommending this online, which is weird. You think you tend to find somebody recommending something, no matter what it is. I recommend giving this a try. Studying sentences, taking the kanji out, just putting them on side 2, focusing on the sounds of the language on side 1. Having a deck like this should be very, very helpful. I'm doing it now, and my goal is to, because I need to increase my vocabulary for listening to NHK News. I want to be able to listen to and understand NHK News, and I think that because I'm too reliant for too much of my vocabulary, without kanji, it doesn't click. Like Nichijo, like everyday conversation, it's totally fine because I've had so much practice talking to people, but for more advanced Japanese, this is what I'm doing to kind of push through that barrier. It's something I wish I did before I went to Japan. While I was in Japan, yeah, I thought about it, but I didn't really implement it. Anyway, hope this is helpful. If you give this a try, if you have any thoughts or comments, of course, please let me know. Thanks for watching.